Hell, we're early. Man, Caleb, you're setting a bad precedent.
That's weird, man.
Throw the whole game off.
So catch me up, Caleb.
No?
Before we get started, you've been fishing? You know anything?
I've been fishing.
Do you know anything, Caleb?
I know that Texas has a pitcher named Moorhead, and that dude's a beast.
Oh, the Longhorns?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That was a hell of an experience. I was looking at some of the tweets and stuff.
Oh, it was cool. It was a cool game. I think we're gonna go take in the Sam Houston game next. It might have a little different outcome.
The Aggies are good. They just lost that one, but that's all right. It only matters in the getting to the postseason. How about you, Scott? Do you guys have anything? Like, I'm going to add the best practices. That'll be probably how we'll get into it, Scott. That was really good. And then the apps, because I know Caleb sounds like he's going to be pretty hot on that.
I'm going to make an app out of myself.
Yeah, well, there you go. Don't waste that stuff on me. That's the good stuff. But you're good, Scott?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let me put this here. And hell, man, I don't have anything other than what I sent you guys and we talked about offline.
You sent us stuff?
Well, you know, the rundown, nothing important.
Oh, yeah. We don't use that anyway.
How about we get started and actually do it on time?
I think the last couple of weeks we've actually hit everything on the rundown.
Yeah. I try to not force it, but let it be organic and everybody says what they want. But it's timed out pretty good. We have a few extras. We might not get to everything this time, but that's all right. All right. Here we go. Let's see if I can find what I'm looking for. And we don't want the loop because we don't want it to hit again like last week. I hit the intro and then in the middle of talking the intro again. All right, here we go. Welcome into the Bite Me podcast. Another episode, my favorite day of the week, hopefully your favorite day of the week. I am John Lopez. That is Captain Scott Null. And that guy finishing his sandwich is Captain Caleb McCumber. It looks like a delicious sandwich and chips, but we'll leave that there. Hey, man, a lot of stuff to cover today. Of course, real quick, just get rid of some of the particulars on the group page. I think, pretty sure, just about all of our topics today, outside of the ones that I'm going to get to first with Captain Scott, came from messages or posts on the group page. You can join that if you're listening, if you subscribe, and you can subscribe anywhere at iTunes, at Spotify. You know the drill. If you're new, welcome in. That's another thing that's happened. Have y'all noticed how many new members to the group page we had this week? I'm thinking probably 40, 50 just in 1 week.
I don't know what happened there. We had, something got hot.
Yeah, I think what happens is like on these message boards and stuff for these various saltwater forums and stuff, people say, hey, found a new podcast, because I noticed a lot of them were from out of town. Hey, are you from out of town? Not the Texas Gulf area, but some on the East Coast, but mostly Louisiana and Florida, and some, one from Alabama. So that's cool. So if you're new to us, don't forget to subscribe. We post every Wednesday morning now. It used to be in the afternoons, but since we've been recording live on Tuesdays, as we are right now, and if you ever care to join us live and you're only listening to the recorded podcast on Wednesday morning, we record live on my YouTube channel. You can find the link. I post it every week right there on the group page. So you can interact with us as we're recording it. But as always, before we get started, subscribe. That's what we really, really like. We want you guys to subscribe to the podcast. That helps everybody. It helps my guys across from me to get the word out on the great things that they do and the great fishermen that they are. And we've had a couple of guys, not mentioning any names, Caleb, but like, oh, so you're just trying to sell this and sell that. No, we have partners and we don't sell anything that we don't use. We've denied or said no to some things that we're not believing in. But the main thing about that is, like, we have been upgrading the podcast like crazy over the last 3-4 years, and that's what we put a lot of this into. So appreciate you guys subscribing. All right, let's dig into it. I don't want to waste any more time. Hopefully you guys do all that stuff, but we've got all kinds of topics today, Scott, from spring fishing to story time, that time you nearly got divorced because of fishing. I think we all probably have at least some semblance of a story on that. Breaking away for a quick trip to fish, breaking away from work. We've all done that as well, especially this time of year when the sun is setting a lot later, and a lot of other topics. But just to kind of put a bow on last week, Scott, we were here with Captain Dean and yourself, and we were talking about some of the new regulations and how you mentioned actually how it is, it's kind of foreign to some people, how to resuscitate or put back into the water some of these snapper and stuff. And you actually did it. So fill us in on that.
I found a little email, and I'm losing the name of it right now, but I got a link, and it was for a release deal. And it basically gave you instructions on how to recognize when a fish needed to be deflated, one of the bottom fish that you're bringing up. And it's called returnthemright.org.
Yes.
And I went on there, and it caught my attention because it said, hey, you can get some free gear.
Yeah.
So,
hey, who doesn't like free stuff?
Hey, I saw free gear, man.
Yeah.
But it was really pretty interesting. It took me about, 10-15 minutes to get through it. It's a little short course on how to recognize when a fish needs to be deflated and let back down, and the different methods. And then at the end of it, throughout it, you kind of take a quick, not even a quiz. It's like one question, and we've all done the HR things.
Oh God.
And you hit one button, and it says, you got the answer right, so you can move on. And it wasn't real in depth as far as, it wasn't like you had to take notes or anything. It was pretty common sense. But at the end of it, you put in your name, your address, and they're going to send me some free gear. One of those, it's like $100 worth of gear, and it's a little one of the drop down devices where you can put a weight on it, and it looks like a little bow grip, and you drop them down to a certain depth, and then you jerk on it, and it opens up, releases them down there, so they reacclimate. It was pretty interesting. And
I saw the link.
Getting my stuff.
Return them right. That's returnemright.org, not com. Returnthemright.org. I'm looking at it myself right now, and it's fantastic. I mean, it's free release.
It's very straightforward. Yeah, straightforward, easy, and didn't take me much time. I think I did it while I was watching Astros last night. It took me about 2 innings.
I'd like to point out you can also get the answers wrong and move on.
Because you're doing it.
I did it already. I saw free stuff. I'm like, hey, that'll work.
Hey, on those HR tests that we have to take ad nauseum, I can't remember the last time I actually listened to the video that played. Like, you just gotta let it play, and then common sense the answers, and you can get right through it. It's pretty hilarious.
I did 3 hours of defensive driving and never turned the volume on.
Exactly. That's exactly right. All right, so let's get into some of these other things. I wanted to just kind of follow up on what we were talking about last year. So anybody can do it. Anybody can get them, and you can learn how to properly release a fish at the right depth. So this was one that wasn't on the original text of the rundown, email of the rundown that I sent you guys, but I got it via direct message. Hey, John, hope you had a great weekend. Here's a topic idea for either tomorrow's podcast or a future podcast. How accurate are apps that predict, quote, good days for fishing or poor days for fishing? I have some info I've collected myself against those apps, but I'm curious to know what the Bite Me team thinks of it. And I can tell you this, Caleb, I'm going to start with you because you seem to have you were ready for an opinion on this one. But I can tell you this, that day a couple of weeks ago that I was just beating myself up over, I was fishing with my guy Tim Stamps over at Wade Wright. And at the end of the day, I'm like, man, I don't know what to tell you. We were all over. We did everything. He goes, well, I will say that he has one of these apps that says great day, good day, mediocre day, etc. And he said, it did say bad day. I said, well, at least that app is accurate. But some of these apps, I mean, you almost have to cross-reference. At least that's what I do, Caleb.
They're they're snake oil in a way, in my opinion. Well, all they're doing is telling you what the moon phase is. So on the days when they're like, it absolutely sucks, what they're telling you is it's like a half moon or something. Yeah. On the days when the 4-star days, they're telling you that it's a full moon or a new moon. But most of the time, a full moon isn't very good at all unless you're there in the exact right moments, right? Or you're fishing after dark. They're not factoring in tidal movement. They're not factoring in water temperature. They're not factoring in anything except the moon. If you go look at a hunting app, it's going to tell you that it's a 4-star day hunting or 5-star day hunting, just like it's telling you fishing. But the water temperature could be 98 degrees and the fishing sucks. But that's all they're doing. They're reflecting the moon. Now, I would imagine there's some out there that maybe take a little bit more into account and do the tidal movements and that too. I'm not aware of them. I bet it's out there. There's a lot of stuff out there these days. What I will use them for is majors and minors, moonrise, moonset, stuff like that. Most of those apps have that in there, but just the 4-star days, all it's doing is telling you a moon phase, and a half moon day can be great, and a new moon day can suck, and vice versa. So if it's a 5-star day, look at a little bit past that before you take off of work.
Well, Caleb, you and I think I can speak for you, are very much. We like new gadgets, new tech, new apps. We like playing around with them. I think Scott does certainly to a degree as well. So what I'm saying, Scott, is I cross-reference at least usually three apps that I have. One with what he said, majors and minors versus tides, and then the wind finder for my specific area or day that I'm fishing. And then I go to my fish angler one, which I like a lot, that has all the other little charts and stuff. And you just kind of got to use them. I love them. I like playing with them. But you kind of got to just form your own opinion ultimately on what you're getting from the 2 or 3 or more apps that you're using.
Yeah, or you could do like Dean and just figure out which one suits you best.
You like the best?
That's what he does on weather.
Like this
I guess
one.
He probably does it on apps too. But it's a lot of hocus pocus on some of that stuff. Like Caleb was saying, you can make it say whatever you want it to. You can talk yourself into fishing anytime. So, and that's been my experience over the years. I'm going anyway, and I really don't want to look at those too much of that stuff and have that in my head. As far as, oh man, it's going to suck today. I'd just soon go out there and figure it out. I did go through a period there for a while where I was kind of keeping track of, when the fish were active and when they were most active throughout the day. And then going back and kind of comparing it to some of those apps that were saying this is a good time to fish and then this is a terrible time to fish. There were days it matched up perfectly. There were days when it was exactly opposite. So I think it has more to do with conditions than it does anything else. We've got we've got weird tides here on the Gulf Coast compared with the East Coast has more much bigger tides than we do, and then ours are pretty weak, and I think the wind plays a whole lot more into ours than actual tide does.
So my app, I do wake up in the mornings and look at apps. As far as like, IsoLunar or the prediction, whether it's gonna be good or not apps, not so much. But my first one is I have, you can go to a website and then save the website to your phone, or it's a little square app looking thing. The first one I open is the NOAA for whatever location I'm in. And that'll give me the actuals right now. It'll give me the tide levels, the water temperature, the wind direction, wind speed, blah, blah, blah. And then I'll swing on over to Wind Finder or some equivalent of that and just see kind of what the forecast for the wind is for the day. And that's my 2 moves right there. And that happens every single day, no matter what.
It sounds like his question was really based on what Scott was talking about, in that he kind of cross-referenced it after the fact, not before, and said, okay, well, maybe I can trust this one or more. Here's where I go with it, Scott. I'm gonna, like you said, I'm gonna go fishing anyway. especially I'm speaking for us, weekday challenged. I'm going to go fishing anyway. But what it does do for me, Scott, is it kind of gives me a good idea of where I want to start, of what the wind is going to be in particular. You don't necessarily say, oh, I'm going to catch fish today because the app says so, but it gives you a good idea to maybe kind of increase those chances,
Yeah, I'm talking about the ones that show, this
Yeah.
is the prime time. This is
Be on the
time is gonna
water
suck.
here.
Yeah, I'm going to be out there for 6 or 8 hours, 9 hours, and I'm going to fish through the suck, and I'm going to fish into the good, and hopefully make it all work out.
Yeah. I will also add it kind of dovetails directly into another question. So I'm kind of skipping around on the rundown here, but
Here
a
we
lot
go.
of us people, here we go. A lot of us, and I think Scott and Caleb have both been in this boat, so to speak, no pun intended, of people like myself that go every week, but sometimes you get that Wednesday afternoon off or that Thursday afternoon off. So the question came at me, and I thought it was really good. How do you pick the right day if you have a choice? Like I can knock off early this day, break away from work quick for a quick trip. And for me, this is the time of year we like to stay timely on this podcast, and this is the time of year where a lot of people, the sun's going to be setting. What I guess it sets about 7:50 right now, somewhere thereabouts. It's going to be 8:30 real soon, so you can get a good fishing trip in if you leave even at 1 or 2 p.m. So the way I do, where my mind went, Caleb, I'll start with you because I know Scott did this probably when he was on the force a lot. I don't know how much you've done it, but I don't just look the day before. If I think I'm going to get or maybe knock off, Thursday, I'm looking Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and you can kind of build what it's going to look like when you do get out there. You know what I mean?
I would just look and see where the best day for the wind is, and if they all three look good, then I'll see what the barometer's forecasted to do, and just kind of step down like that. Try to hedge my bet, and like you said, go out and where you can fish until the evening or whatever. But I'm probably going to prioritize the wind speed, and then second would be any kind of barometer changes I can find. Maybe that first day is a 4 tide day, and then the next couple of days are 2 tide days, stuff like that. But I'm gonna prioritize wind first, then tides, barometer, stuff like that after that.
Scott, I know you did this. What was your putting the odds in your favor moves?
This was way before apps, so
yeah,
it was just a matter of you catch a free afternoon and start heading south, and my apps were the big flags at the car dealerships all the way down the Gulf Freeway. As I'd go along there, I'd start looking at them, and if they were standing straight out, I might turn around and go back home and go mow the yard or something and take a shot at the next day, especially if they were standing stiff out of the southwest. Just knowing that it's going to suck. But that was back when we really counted on our friends. Hey man, water's green to the beach. You need to get down here. Southeast is light southeast, less than 10. Water's clean to the beach. Trout are in there. Birds are working. Minus that, then you would, as you just headed down, you'd start looking at the wind direction, and we had our little tide charts. We all knew. We had the little handy chart. I kept it in my truck all the time. And I would look at that and then start doing my math as to, what area of the bay that I need to go. Okay, if the tide is at, 3:00 this afternoon is my low tide at the jetties, I know that it's going to be 2 hours or so different and further up into the bay. So if the tide was hitting at that particular time where I was driving, and it was going to be one or the other at the jetties, then I would try to figure out how far up into the bay did I need to go, and drop the boat in and start moving. Or just a lot of my trips like that were just quick wade trips, or even with the kayak later on, and that gave me an idea of where I needed to launch, where I needed to go to get started. So I knew that I would have some tide movement, back up in the bay somewhere. The worst thing in the world would have been to, catch it at that dead low and then go someplace close to one of the passes. Now you're sitting there with no tide movement at all. And you only got a couple of hours on those kind of trips. So you want to make the best of it.
There's just something really cool about fishing in the evenings, and even better if you can break away from work early. I mean, I don't know. Some of my even if I wasn't catching a lot of fish, some of my most fun times are like, ooh, I got the afternoon off. Let's go. You just hook it up. You go. It's nice. Tends to be more times than not as the sun starts to settle, a lot calmer, or at least it lays down a little bit. You see the sunset. It's just like heaven on earth. That's why we all love it. There's just something cool about fishing in the evenings this time of year. It's just really, really cool. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's exactly what I was going to say. It's like, okay, I'm fishing. All these other guys are back in the rat race,
I feel like Pat talked me into something I didn't want to do whenever I'm fishing in the evenings.
What's that? Fishing. Oh, you mean just going?
Yeah, I get in from running a trip, and Pat's like, "Come on, man, it's going to be awesome." and I'll say no for 20 minutes, and he'll browbeat me into it. Next thing I know, I'm out there till 10 o'clock at night.
Of course you are. It's just I know our listeners. I'm looking at some of the comments right now. I know our listeners agree. It's like if you get the evening off and you see that sun setting, you feel like you won. It's like I won. I'm fishing, and
I like fishing a sunset over a sunrise every single
100%.
And it's not because I'm intrinsically lazy.
No. 100% I do. In fact, to the point where I've told you might be intrinsically lazy, but who knows? But that's not necessarily the reason. To the point where I've told my kids, when I'm gone, I want some of my ashes spread at a particular place, and I've told them, and I want it done right at sunset, like right at sunset. That's when I'm just in my bliss, man. And it's just you do feel like, okay, I'm gonna go home. I'm either gonna clean these fish, or I'm gonna have a nice stiff drink and just sit and have a good time. It is absolutely the best. I just absolutely love it. All right. And now for the other side of the coin. And it's story time. And I'll start you guys off, sort of thought starters, if you will, because the question came up. This was not on the group page. This was a direct message from a good friend of mine talking about, and he led his text off with, Caleb, I'll start with you. I nearly got divorced this week. And then he went on to tell me, I don't remember exactly what he did. I think he just left and was, just didn't tell her that he was going fishing. He figured she would assume it. He got home, but she was already calling his cell phone, and his cell phone died. Same old story that we've all heard. And he goes, yeah, I nearly got divorced today because of fishing. So I said, well, that sounds like a topic to me. So I thought of like a couple of instances that have nearly ended my relationship several times. When I was young in this business, working in Bryan College Station, and then working in San Antonio before I moved to Houston in 1990. So I was in my 20s, early 20s in some instances. I would go fishing. This was my first boat, and I wanted to get out there as much as I could. So I would go fishing, but we lived in like a little condo, like a 1-bedroom condo in Bryan College Station. Then we had like a small 1-bedroom house that we rented in San Antonio. Well, that's back when I was keeping a lot of fish, putting them in the freezer, that whole thing that we kind of discourage now. But the only place to clean fish was the kitchen. I mean, we didn't have a yard. We didn't have anything. So, and a lot of times if I would leave the ramp and, there was no lights there. This is when I was fishing Trinity a lot. There was no lights there outside of Anahuac. So I'll just put them in the ice box. I'll clean them in the kitchen. I can't begin to tell you how many times I got the look of, one more time, buddy, one more time. and I am walking. And so fortunately I got over that. And then several times, Caleb, I would go out fishing. Yeah, I'll be back at 4. I'll be back at 3. And I'm back at 7:30. Because you end up catching fish inevitably when you give somebody a deadline. And of course, she had dinner plans, et cetera, et cetera. Give me 1 or 2 or more instances where that was nearly it for you, Caleb?
Man, well, the number one thing I just can't talk about on air, but long story short, she was livid whenever about time we hit the boat ramp, and it didn't keep us from going out and fishing all day. But that was probably
now you got to tell us.
No, I can't do that. You might listen to this thing.
I'm thinking, Scott. I'm thinking anniversary.
No.
I'm thinking birthday.
It was an instance where it could be perceived that I did something bad when I indeed did not. And
why do I already believe her?
I don't
even know the story, and I don't even know the story, and I believe her.
Some situational text message was sent to my phone, and the damn iCloud sent it to my iPad, which she has used once in her life and happened to be holding it when it happened. But it sounded worse than it was, which is why I didn't panic and go home right then. We settled it that evening. I got one coming in the future. There's a couple of different baseball teams around the area. Some of them are about an hour away that have been expressing interest in Cade coming and playing with them. And a couple of them talked to me over the past 4, 5, 6 days, and I said, you know what? Yeah, he'll come practice with you a little bit, maybe pick up on the weekends when he's not playing with his regular team. And let me highlight that one's about 45 minutes away and one's about an hour 15 away. I've committed to it, and I'm a man of my word. If I commit, I commit. And Daniel called me today, and I found out that we're fishing September. And by fishing September, we are fishing every day of September.
Yeah.
And so now Mama's going to have to go to work to her 9 to 5 and then come home and drive Cade from here to Angleton and from here.
So you set up all the practices and everything.
Yeah. And then, Daniel said, hey, the first week of September is the last Excalibur and the last week's the World Series, right? No, I was not aware. So we can revisit this about October 5th.
What else?
But I'll say this to kind of describe my wife. Friday night, I just got in my car and left. There's a little place over here called the Pub, and they got good crawfish and beer. And I thought to myself, I said, "Self, I'm gonna go up there by myself, and I'm bound to know somebody." And I rolled into that place, and I knew about 25 people, and ended up at the table with them. And I left the house, I don't know, 6, about 11:30. I don't know how many buckets of beer we had been through and everything. And somebody said, "Where's your wife?" I said, "I don't know. I'm not going home till she texts me and asks me where I'm at." And she didn't even know I was damn gone until midnight. So
she was happy.
Yeah. I think she prefers me being out of sight and out of mind.
Yeah. Scott, Camille is obviously awesome in every way, but you're not. I mean, so I'm sure there's something somewhere along the line, tournament fishing, a buddy, what's popping into your mind?
Actually, I mean, I got to say her dad trained her really well.
Oh yeah.
He would just disappear and go fishing, and not come in when he said he was going to. So she grew up knowing it. And, I mean, back before cell phones, I'd get to the first payphone, call her and say, "Hey man, sorry. I said I was going to be home at such time, but the fish were biting pretty good." She goes, "I figured." And that's been pretty much it. I mean, she's so much easier going than I could ever ask for. Hell, I picked a boat up in Florida, drove straight through, picked up a boat, custom built boat, and was driving it back. And one of the guys wanted to see the boat, and he lived part of the way back in the Florida Panhandle in Panama City. He guides over there, and he wanted to see this new boat. It's the first model for new model, just like my General is, and it was the East Cape. And the owner of East Cape asked me, he said, "Man, you mind stopping in there? On your way in, it's along I-10, you're driving back." And I said, "Yeah, what the hell?" Yeah. So I arranged to meet this guy, and we're meeting in the parking lot. We're talking about the boat, and he's looking at it. He goes, "Man, the tarpon are running on the beachfront. We could dump this thing in tomorrow morning."
Everybody knows where this story was going.
So I sheepishly called Camille and said, "Hey, I want to stay the night in Panama City and go fish tomorrow morning with this guy over here, and he's got some tarpon." She said, "All right, do what you do, whatever." So I fished with him, and we saw a ton of tarpon. I mean, we couldn't get them to eat as usual. But I mean, we saw tarpon, all of them. Now, first day my boat is in the water, it's a brand new boat, and I'm like, man, this place is awesome. Hell, I could stay tomorrow too.
Oh God!
So, and
see, I'm starting to not buy this whole. Oh, she's laid back. She gets it. Come on now. Come on.
I called her that evening, and said, "Hey, I'm gonna stay over another night. There was tarpon everywhere." And she's all right. Do your thing, whatever. And I mean, I'm serious. She's so laid back about it, and I try not to take too much advantage of it. So I guess I've done okay. I mean, we've been married a damn long time, so she's kind of used to it.
Yeah,
go ahead, Caleb.
I can go 5 to 7 days gone fishing without a text or a phone call.
Yeah, that's why I put that text up on the screen here on the YouTube feed.
But
Corey was talking. Yeah.
I'm sorry. In the World Series, whenever we were getting closer to that $100,000, man, she got real lovey-dovey. Good luck. We're rooting for you. Like,
now you're texting?
Yeah, come on.
But that's why I put that text up there from Corey. He says, does anyone else believe that when the wife calls, you're going to get a bite? And of course, Caleb answered, your wife calls? So there's that. But Corey, I'll tell you, that's almost a lock for me. Hey, so how's it going? The usual stuff. Oh, not too good. I'll probably be off the water here in about 15, 20 minutes, which is always my standard answer. She quotes it back to me. And then inevitably, wham, so they're like, well, I thought you said 15 or 20 minutes. Well, we got a couple bites here and there. But Scott, she is much more like Camille now, because when I was younger and we had the kids and we had the baseball like Caleb has and basketball and all this other stuff and dance for the, you have to be home, you just have to. But now that they're all grown, she's every bit like that. I'm like, and I'm still conditioned to you think it'd be all right if I blah, blah, blah. She's just go, like, get out of my house. She's happy to let me have my fun and go do my thing. But it can get pretty interesting for a lot of people, I'm sure. But it's good to have the right girl. And Caleb, I know during that World Series, I remember you talking about that, how you're gone so much. But that's got to be a whole different twist on things when you're gone. It's not like, hey, I'm going to be gone today and you end up being late. I'm going to be gone 10 days, Yeah.
It's gotten to the point now that I don't ask her anything. Anything that pops up, she asks me, are you going to be home? And unfortunately, it's either yes, no, and a whole lot of, I don't know. Because she's just, almost a decade in now, and she's just starting to accept the fact that fishing is my job anyway.
Right.
It's hard to convince them.
Yeah, it can be. I'm sure. So, I didn't get to this before, like at the top of the podcast, like we usually do. Both you guys, real quick, tell me what you're hearing in your respective areas for our listeners. We'll get to what would Scott do, what would Caleb do later. But what's this week been like so far, Scott?
Windy.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. Saturday, for some reason, Saturday was dead calm, but my grandson's birthday was in Houston, so I was driving out, and I drove over that bridge at Port Lavaca, and that's the first day that I've seen it actually smooth. And God, I can't remember when. And there I was driving to Houston, of all places. But for the most part, the trout have been sketchy. Reds seem to be pretty good. It's like a broken record. It just seems like over and over and over again, most of the reports that I see are all about redfish. And occasionally somebody pops into a bunch of trout. And I guess if some people are catching a whole bunch of trout, they're just not talking about it.
Yeah, could well be. How about you, Caleb?
Well, Saturday, Scott had a birthday party and Kate had a baseball tournament. So, of course, it's going to be dead calm, right?
Yeah.
Kind of the same thing. They've been catching some trout here and there. The redfish are starting to show back up. It'll be springtime. Shad are starting to hatch. The redfishing looks pretty stinking good. I've got a lot of redfishing on the books over the next couple of weeks, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah, you guys are getting good. You're dovetailing right into the next topic perfectly. So we're going to tell you about if we're too hard on spring fishing in just a second. So here's the question, guys. We've talked about the winds ad nauseum. You know how strong they are, how unpredictable they are. We talked about it last week. The water, the color, how it's getting kind of churned up here and there depending on the day. The unpredictability of the spring. Scott is on the record. I don't like fishing in the spring. Caleb, you've been along those same lines. Are we too hard on spring, Scott? Because I've told you, and you and I have disagreed on this because we have different. I don't have clients, you know. I pick a good day in spring, and it can be really good fishing if you can pick and choose. And many of our listeners, the vast majority of our listeners, pick and choose the days that they can fish whenever possible. Are we too hard on spring? Because I think spring fishing, if you get it right, it can be just as epic as the fall.
Oh yeah, it can be fantastic. You catch the right days and it's all good. Even these rough days and in the wind, fishing in the wind it's not impossible, and you can certainly have a really good day. My problem with it, and the reason I'm against spring so much, is people want to book trips 2 and 3 and 4 weeks out. You know, they can't just call you up and say, hey, you know, are you free tomorrow? Well, they do that, but generally I'm not. So if you're not guiding and you can be on call basically for good weather and good conditions, and when things just get right and you can drop everything and go, spring can be fantastic. Got a lot of little bait out there. The fish are starting to move around. Everything's warming up. It's getting good. You know, there's no doubt about it. But when you try to plan these days out, I just had one for Friday. You know, this guy's been on the books for, 3 or 4 weeks, 5 weeks. Wanted to go fly fishing and watching the weather as it's coming, and it's like, it's not changing. Well, it did change that time, but they bumped it up a little bit. And next thing you know, we're at 25 gusting to 40. I mean, there was gusts that morning of 39 miles an hour. It's just really hard to plan out our trips this time of year, and I end up canceling more than I end up running because
it's more just a frustration level that you can't fulfill it.
It's a frustration of not being able to fulfill the trips that are on the books, and so that's why I tend to kind of push people away from going in the spring. It's not because the fishing sucks; it's because the weather sucks, and we just can't predict it. And even when they do predict it, I can't tell you how many times we've had these bad predictions, you know, and it's going to be blowing 25, 30, 35, 40, whatever. And then you wake up and it's nice. And we could have squeezed in, a 3 or 4 or 5 hour trip. Now, if I wasn't having somebody drive from Houston to Port O'Connor and paying me my fee, I'd get up in the morning, look at that and go, hey, I got a break here.
I'm going fishing.
Pop me a window and take off. And some days I do that. Even when I've canceled a trip, I'll still get up and take off and go just because it got right. But day in, day out, it's just hard to do that this time of year, setting up a day and saying, okay, we're going to go on this day and it's going to be good.
Caleb, we too hard on spring?
Scott pretty well said it all. It's a great time of year to fish. I love fishing spring into early summer, and and he's dead right. You know, most of the times I jump and go is when my buddies call me and say, "Hey, the smokestacks on the plants are going straight up. You know, let's roll." We were talking about wife stuff. I got a buddy just got rid of one that made it hard for him to fish, and me and him have all kinds of big plans this spring.
It's funny. We had a comment as well. About, and it just got me thinking, like, I immediately thought of like a couple of people. I guess FG said, don't take your buddy if he has a toxic wife. You'll find yourself cutting the trip short on account of him. Trust me. Hey, it works both ways. A lot of our female fishermen, maybe has the same thing, has a friend that is not exactly ideal. I can think of a couple of people right now that I just don't fish with them anymore. Right? You know, Caleb, because it's like, it's going to be, well, I've got to go now. Oh, well, no, you don't have to go now. Why didn't you tell me that? That's happening.
Jeez. When it's happening ahead of time, because as you're setting up the trip, they're going, well, when do you think we'll be back? That is a killer, man. That's the, hey, we ain't going.
See, y'all got this so wrong, man. I got
Oh, because you're messing with them.
I'm gonna fish with that guy every time, and when his wife starts calling him, I'm gonna egg him into saying stuff he shouldn't. And man, let's just give it one more hour, just one more hour. I'm gonna make things so worse every time.
I'm not gonna mention the name, but I got a couple of buddies that I fished with, a lot. But inevitably, 90% of the time, it's. So you think we'll be off the water by about 1? No, no.
I'm the guy. I'm like, right? We went back for lunch, right?
Yeah, for lunch.
It's kind of funny because I'll be out with customers, and me and Robert and Taylor, we play around a lot together and fish together, and people are like, well, what time? Out here, your buddies, y'all, man, we meet at the boat ramp about 9. Oh, so y'all fish so dark? I'm like, about 11:30. We usually head back in.
I had one of those buddies with a bit of a toxic wife. They're still together, but it's kind of surprising. They made it through the rough times. But he and I got stuck down there on the lower Laguna Madre. We had girls down there and had the kids and all that. And we were staying in a condo on South Padre, and they had a nice place. It's got a pool, got everything. We were out fishing all day, and we stuck my shallow sport, and it was an 8-hour stuck. I mean, it was stuck. And we're shoving and pushing and working to get it back. And we come running, and this way before cell phones. Mm-hmm. And there's no communication down there. I mean, you're there. We're out near the Arroyo. We run way up north. And we come creeping back in there like 10:30 that night. And come rolling in.
I'd have had to do some explaining on that one.
Camille was just, like I said, she's so good about it. She was just like, yeah, well, she's all upset. But I kept telling her, they were catching fish or they got stuck and they'll be in a little while. It's no big deal. The other one, she was livid, man. I mean, hot. It made me appreciate Camille even more.
Yeah, well, good for you. Go ahead, Caleb.
I had a guy that I used to fish with back in my younger years. And he had a wife she was very pretty and always ready to see him. We can say that, right? Always ready to see him.
Yeah.
And so we left and went to Baffin we were supposed to stay for like 4 days, and like 2 days into it, she's calling him, and it was in the it wasn't in the I'm gonna get a divorce sort of way. It was in the I need to get home right now while she's still there sort of way, right?
Mm-hmm.
And man, we rolled up about 3 a.m. because it was a last minute deal. We were supposed to stay for a couple more days. And we rolled in about 3 a.m. And she is in the front yard with a glass of wine, smoking a cigarette. And she had on, I think she went to Victoria's Secret, bought everything, and just washed her clothes in it. And I started thinking about possible outcomes here. And the first thing I did was give her the biggest hug I could to get that smell all over me, just to go home to see if my wife would give a damn. And I mean, when I walked in the house, I smelled so much the dog scattered, right? And that's the day I learned my wife didn't care.
That's funny. Hey, what's going on here on the direct messages here, Caleb? I don't even want to say anything. What's happening here?
Delaney trying to get the Das Boot.
Yeah, I guess.
She says she has to stop. She stops for chapstick when she's really needing a bite. And I said, well, your lips must be silky soft because I've fished with her.
That's what I'm talking about, what you said.
Yeah, I've fished with her many a time. And if you want to be really desperate for a bite, just let Delaney on your boat. She's nice.
Automatic.
Nice person. Terrible to fish with.
She's that one. She's
got the juju on her. When I went to College Station just to watch the baseball game, I was kind of nervous my truck would break down or blow a tire or something. I think she's responsible for 2 wrecked boats or 2 blown motors at this point, and she didn't. All she did was sit there.
That is not very nice. Oh. We all know the juju person too. It's like, that's right. God, oh boy, yeah, sure. Come on, let's go fishing. Oh my gosh. All right, so we're gonna get a couple more topics. I do want to mention text I got from our guy Micah Krolik over at knockandtaillures.com. That rogue color that we were talking about, it was really, really popular at the fishing show back in March. I say back in March like it was 2 years ago, last month. He said that he's been getting all kinds of pictures with a lot of success on that rogue color. So knockandtaillures.com, bite me 20, get 20% off. And you get 20% off on all those purchases, just like you can. I mentioned earlier, Tim and Jason over at coastalfishinggear.com, the Wade Wright belt. BiteMe20, BITEME20. This is for our listeners. A lot of our listeners have taken advantage. A lot of good pictures on our website of people catching fish, and they're sporting that Wade Right sling or belt. So good for you guys. All right, Scott, the stage is going to be yours. It's going to be all yours. We've got, is now the time? I know it's windy, but if you catch a good day, the question is with the small crabs, which you addressed and talked about last week. So the combination of the small crabs that are out there, which is redfish crack, as you put it, and the fly fishing. The question came up from one of our listeners: is now, or why is now the best time to try fly fishing? And I'm going to change it to is now the best time to try fly fishing, where you have those crab, flies, etc. Is this a good time to get going if you've had the bug? I'm telling you,
the wind's going to kill you.
The stage is all yours.
Yeah, that wind's going to kill you this time of year. You're going to have that line tangled all around your head. But as far as the fishing itself, if you caught the right day, yeah, it's awesome, because right now is when you have all the little hatches, real small shrimp, little crabs. All your bait fish is pretty small. You can match the hatch a lot easier using fly rod this time of year than you can with the bigger soft plastics. It just works out. As far as the best time to start, it's probably not. Yeah, because
summer,
like I said, you're gonna be dealing with the wind and all that. If you haven't been fly fishing much, your casting is going to suffer. It's gonna get really tough on you. It works out best if you can do it in the summer and the fall, and particularly learn. My way of saying it: take your lessons now. Go get some lessons, practice. Go practice in the yard through the spring. Do some fishing in the summer, and then get ready for fall. And fall's when you're really going to feel like you're a champ, because come September, October, and all those redfish are schooled up in the marsh. They're chasing little shrimp as the shrimp are bailing out of the marsh. You can be a hero then, and that'll get you hooked on fly fishing, because that's when the fishing's easiest. We all know it: September, October, November. And if you can spend the spring getting ready, the summer as kind of like a spring training, and getting yourself warmed up and learning how to do it, be on the water, and learn how to. Casting in the yard is all different from casting in the water, and casting from the front of a skiff is totally different. Everything's moving. The boat's moving, the fish is moving, the wind's blowing, and you got to get it all three lined up at the same time. Standing in your yard, you're casting at a static object, as a target, and you're not as concerned about the wind, and you're not as concerned about which way the boat's moving and all those things. So it works out best if you can get a lot of practice in before you get out on the water. And that's the way I would do it if I were starting over. Would be go somewhere where you've got a good instructor, one of the fly shops, one of your local fly shops, and get with them, get your basics down, learn all of that, learn the equipment, learn leaders and fly line and all that, and the weights of the rods and just the basics.
See, I don't know. And that's the thing.
Use throughout the summer.
Yeah, that's the thing.
You start talking about, it gets confusing with people. You talk about 7 weight, 8 weight, 9 weight. What does all that mean? And now's the time to be learning that.
Talk about patience. Caleb, I'm listening to him, and for decades, I've been intrigued. But I'm like, man, that sounds like an awful lot of, being a novice and lots of mistakes and not really feeling comfortable in your own skin as a fly fisherman. It's just, sell me on it, Scott. Why should I? I've been fishing for damn near 45 years, 50 years. Why should I go out there with you and just hack away and learn how to fly fish? What do I get out of it that I don't get out of it otherwise?
It's a challenge. I equate it to hunting with a rifle versus hunting with a bow. You start hunting with a rifle, and now you know you gotten good. You've killed some animals with it. You can shoot a deer at 300 yards. If a deer steps out, you can get him. Same thing with a redfish. The way I feel about a redfish, if I've got a bait caster in my hand and a soft plastic, if I can see the redfish, I feel like I got a really good shot at catching it. With a fly rod, the issue is in doubt. And it's not just in doubt as to whether or not you can get it there. You can generally get him to eat if you can get it to him. But then comes landing him. And so many little odds and ends can go wrong. Everything's got to be right. And you got to get to a point in your fishing where it doesn't matter if you get skunked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you're still at the point in fishing where, man, I got to catch fish today or I'm not going to have a good day, then you're not ready for fly fishing. If fly fishing, fishing means going out there and having a good time, just seeing fish and casting to them, and you catch some, you lose some. It doesn't make you throw your rod down when you lose a fish. Then you're ready for fly fishing. If you're still at that point of getting all ticked off and mad because you didn't catch something, or you broke your line, or fish broke loose, or it shook off, or anything like that, if you're getting upset about that, yeah, fly fishing is not for you, because it's going to happen. You just accept it. And I'm to a point in my life where if I catch that fish, it's awesome. If I don't catch that fish, I'll go find another one. It's cool. I come home and I didn't catch a single fish all day. I still had a good time.
Sure. And I think I'm there. I've been there for a long, long time. Caleb, are you inspired now to become a expert fly fisherman?
This might be a bad time to point out that the first half of that I completely zoned out for all of it.
Because he said fly fishing.
Well, I was trying to hang in there. The comments are going a little wild today, but I mean, I'm creeping into it myself. I'm the same way as Scott. It's the same way as whenever people go on trips with me and, hey, do you want a cast cap? No, my thing. I like hunting them down and looking at them. I like to see if they're going to eat or not. I like to see that stuff. So, break one off is going to tick me off. I'm gonna be honest about it, because it's going to take me a lot of work to get one caught in the first place. But just seeing them and throwing at them and just having a different way, because I'm the same way as Scott. If I'm holding the plastic in my hand, if that fish is going to eat, I'm going to catch that fish. It's if he's not going to eat, I'm not going to catch him. If he is, I am, because I'm going to put it. If I miss him the first cast, I'm going to hit him the second cast. Right. So it's a different sort of. I think it's more for your actual sport fishermen, right? That let's take this to another level and make it even harder on myself.
See, that's why it's always intrigued me, Scott. I mean, you know me. I don't care about keeping fish. The only time I do is if I have someone that hasn't fished with me very often, or if at all, I want them to catch fish. I love the thought of it. Maybe it's just a matter of like, boy, that sounds like a long time to dig into it. But you're saying, yeah, it's worth it, every second of it.
It's simpler than you try to make it in your head. There's some basics, and everybody gets hung up on what size rod. Just an 8-weight rod, 8-weight line, and they make one that's a redfish line. Get that one, 8 or 9 foot leader, 12 pound. Get some flies that look like crabs and shrimp. They don't have to be an exact replica, just something that looks similar. And then get the casting lessons. Casting lessons is probably the number one issue. Being able to manage your fly line and get a cast off in a reasonable amount of time and reasonably accurate. That's the whole thing right there. And once you get past that part and you start hooking a few fish, you'll make mistakes. You'll screw it up. Everybody does, but eventually you'll hook up, and that'll be a most gratifying fish you've caught.
See, so there's a problem right there. I got to sell all my 9-weights to get 8-weights, so I don't have to be hung up on rod size now.
Yeah, there you go.
Pick a weight and stick with it. 7, 8, 9, but 8's right in the middle. That's why I say 8.
And those are lengths?
No, it's the weight of the rod. It's the action of the rod.
They're all about the same length, is what you're saying.
I could get all geeky into it, but I won't. But it's based off of the weight of the line. The line weight matches with the rod weight. and that allows you to be able to throw, because you're throwing the line and you're not throwing the fly. You throw the line and the fly follows, and that's where most people get kind of crossways with it. They're still trying to sling that fly.
Counterintuitive.
Right. And what you have to realize is that you're throwing the first 20 to 30 feet of that line is what is carrying the rod. That's your weight. And then it unrolls. You've all seen the fly fishing on, how the line goes out in a loop and then it lays down on the water and it rolls out. That part that's laying down on the water, that's your weight, and it's what you're throwing. Now, the inertia behind the line rolls the fly out there, and when you try to make the fly land in the right spot, and that's the whole trick of it. You've got to be able to cast 9 feet short, make the head of that line hit 9 feet short of that fish, and then the fly has to roll out on the leader that's 9 feet long to land in the right spot. And that's where it's just so satisfying to be able to do it. When it all works out right, and it becomes second nature. Believe it or not, it's not all that complicated. And once you practice it and you get good at it, I mean, I haven't cast a fly in quite a while. My shoulder wouldn't let me for a good while, and I went right back out there and picked a fly rod up, and it was like riding a bike, man. Just went right back to it. Didn't have to think about it. It was just muscle memory.
Yeah. I mean, I'm as interested as I've ever been. One interesting thing, though, Scott, and this is going to be like my ignorance personified, that, and you can laugh at me because I know it's probably a dumb question. So whenever I've seen fly fishermen, saltwater fly fishermen, and they're working the bait and they're pulling the line, I've always wondered, do they ever like jig the line like conventional fishing? Because all I've ever seen was just like pulling the line, and it just seems like, okay, am I missing something?
No, that's your retrieve.
You don't ever pop.
You want to keep the rod tip pointed at the fly, at the fish, and strip. That's what it's called, stripping. And you'll hear different ways of describing it. Tick, 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 is a little strip. You'll hear your guide from behind you, just tick, tick, tick. Okay, let it sit, let it settle. And the cool thing with flies, it's like a corky. They don't sink very fast. So you strip it up to the fish, and then you can let it hover right there in front of the fish. And it's very effective. And you're not wiggling it. You're not doing all these crazy things with the rod, because the fly line is so heavy and so thick that you can't really maneuver that fly and make it do anything by moving the rod tip. Your rod tip is pretty flimsy. So the best way to do it is to have
I'm not as ignorant as I thought I was.
Yeah, it's a straight connection to your fly, and you're moving it with your hand. You got your right hand. I'm right-handed. Got my right hand on the rod, and my left hand is moving the line, and that's what's making the fly do what I want it to do. The other part of that is you want the rod pointed at the fish when you get a bite, because you hear it all the time. You'll hear it out there in fly fishing circles. Oh, he trout set that one, and that means lifting the rod, just like you would for setting the hook on a fish with your rod and reel. Won't work on a redfish. Is not ever going to work.
Just leave it pointed.
Doesn't happen. You got to point it at them, and then you strip set. You grab that line. You're stripping the line in. You're moving your fly. You're holding onto the line. As soon as he eats, you pull straight back. Like down from in front of you, holding the line. Strip it all the way back to your hip, and then you'll be able to set the hook with a straight line to the fish. If you lift that rod tip, there's not enough backbone in that rod to drive that hook home into a redfish. So we call it trout setting. Everybody does it.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens even experienced guys will be on my boat, and I'll see them, just automatically when they see that bite, they lift the rod up, and then they just drop their head. They know they screwed up. Everybody knows when they do it. And basically all you do is pull it right out of his mouth, because it's just a gentle pull on it.
Caleb, are you as interested as I am? You said you're getting into it again?
I was going to say a couple things, and Scott covered them. I mean, I guess the only one that I zoned out again. At the very end, because he said everything I was interested in.
Yeah.
But maybe he said that rod's so long, you pick it up, you're going to jerk that fly away from that fish.
Right.
It's gone.
When are we going?
Well, somebody that's in the comments right now has informed me that I'm going to Delacroix in like a weekend or two. Who's going?
Are you really?
I'm gonna try to get it done. Daniel's gonna go down there and kind of see what the situation is, and if it's relatively dire, I might go for a weekend and scout around a little bit, and then I got to go back at the end of the month for about a week and a half. But
What's your schedule coming up, tournament wise?
end of the month is the Delacroix Excalibur, and then Homa Excaliburs after that, and then I think Port A Excaliburs after that. And I might fish some little standalone stuff around here. I've got a lot of videoing stuff set up. I got to go to Florida for 4 or 5 days. I think Scott's going to go with me and film with Ed and Ed Zayak, and then I'm gonna go over to. I'm gonna be in Louisiana. I'm doing a lot more videoing and stuff this year than tournaments. Really, I'm fishing 3 majors, the World Series, and then the rest of it's going to be videoing and a handful of guided trips here and there.
Scott, tell us about that trip.
I just told him about it.
He just let me know about it. Actually,
I guess you're going.
We're talking about going to Ed. Yeah, oh, you're going.
Ed's actually in Texas right now. He's down South Texas. He's been fishing down there.
He's gonna be
on his way back.
Yeah, he's gonna be getting a call from me about that.
Yeah, he called me this morning and said, "Yeah, I've been down here fishing for the last week." Yeah, really? He didn't bother to call me.
Drove right past you.
Yeah, but he wants me to meet him up with the DOA trailer on Saturday morning, and he's going to hold it back to Florida. They got some shows over there that he needs to do, so he wants to use my my new little display that I built, set it all up.
Yeah, you do all the work, man.
Yeah, he swears he's going to get me my trailer back before July when we have a show down there in South Texas. We'll see.
Yeah. All right, boys, guess what? We haven't done this in a while. We left 3 topics on the board for next week, and they're good ones, so we'll get to those next week. But you guys touched on, man, this hour just flew by, big time flew by. Thanks to all the listeners that are watching online, and we'll post this early on Wednesday morning. But we do have to get to what would Scott do and what would Caleb do. And you guys were talking about the weather and the quick change, and you wake up and all of a sudden it looks like a good day. I check the weather every day, trying to plan out where and when I'm going to fish. And I swear, yesterday morning I was looking, well, Sunday's out. It's Easter Sunday. We're going to be cooking here. It was so horrible, but I was thinking about going because I'm getting a day off. Well, Friday's all out, and all of a sudden the weather has changed a little bit. And if you are going to fish on Easter Sunday, the weather, at least on my app, Scott, sounds a little better. Caleb, I'm going to start with you, though, this week because Scott has started the last couple on what would Scott do, what would Caleb do. Weather has been changing rapidly, which is not a surprise in the spring. But, Caleb, if you're taking me out fishing Friday, Saturday, whatever it may be, what would you do? What would we do?
I'm not going Friday. Saturday and Sunday look all right. It depends. I would, I'm looking at it. I'd probably be sticking towards the north side of something where it's been rather protected and the water hopefully is streaked up and a little bit cleaner. If we're drifting, I'm going out looking for streaks. Throw in small white plastics if I got something with some silver glitter in them, something like that. If I'm waiting, it's little miridines, it's little soft dines, it's little shiny topwaters, it's little white paddle tails, and that'd probably be my play there. I'm wondering
a little bit of rain Saturday in certain areas of the coast.
Yeah, I'm not showing rain for here. I'm wondering if it on Saturday and Sunday. I'm wondering if the wind stays low, if by Sunday afternoon the beachfront wouldn't be knocked down because
northeast.
Yeah, it's blowing. It starts blowing out of the north on Wednesday here, and then Thursday it's blowing out of northeast. Friday is blowing. It's showing a little bit out of the east Friday afternoon, but if that holds off, then the beachfront might look all right. I'm not saying there's a bunch of trout up in it right now, but you can usually find something to go play with.
Mm-hmm. Scott.
Well, the forecast it has been changing.
It's changed like overnight.
Yeah, because it was calling for a lot of north wind, and we were going to get a front, and it was going to cool off. But now what I'm seeing, one of the guys that I follow, that's a pretty good weatherman, he's saying that front's going to hook them down here and then stall out right on top of us. And
great,
they're saying 3 to 4 inches of rain for us. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Saturday looks okay. You know, it's still showing a little bit of rain early, but the winds are not bad all week with that front stalled out over the top of us. It's showing, you know, starting Thursday, 10-mile-an-hour winds the rest of the week and on into the weekend. If you want to fish on Friday, bring a slicker and watch for lightning, because they're showing some pretty solid thunderstorms. And now they've while Caleb was talking, I refreshed it, and now they're showing rain all day Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, I saw Saturday rain on mine. I don't know how heavy, but Sunday seems to be better. At least up here.
I haven't got a clue right now, because honestly, I looked at it and then I looked away and I refreshed it to make sure what I was looking at, and now all of a sudden there's raindrops for every hour on the app that I'm looking at. I honestly don't know. I'm going to refresh it again and see if they go away. I'll start doing like Dean. I'm going to start looking around at different apps and see which one I like better. But everything's wide open right now. If you can catch the window weather, if this rain doesn't happen, the winds do stay low like they're talking about, you could go fish open middle bay reefs if you wanted to. I would disappear up into the marshes and have my fly rod with me and throwing some little stuff like we talked about earlier. The crabs are still around, all those baby crabs that we've been seeing in the lights, and those have got to be all up in the marshes as well, and I'm sure the redfish are just feasting on those.
Go ahead, Caleb.
So is this a good time to revisit that whole fishing apps?
Yeah, no kidding.
Seriously. I know this forecast is rain. I'm looking at this one in Mount Gordon, and it doesn't show a drop all week. Who knows, man?
Yeah, and you're talking about you were talking about northeast and east winds. I got none of that. Everything I got southeast.
I've got let's see. Let's have fun with it.
All right, let's all look. Okay, let's do this because I got mine open as well. Let's look at you're saying Saturday. Let's look at Saturday at 9 a.m. What do you have, Caleb?
Saturday at 9 a.m. I have 12 to 20 out of the northeast, but wait, there's more.
Okay.
If I swipe over to, well, I can't swipe over to super forecast. It's always funny with me on Wind Finder. If you go to 1 at 1 o'clock and on the regular page, it shows 3-hour intervals, 1, 4, 7. At 1 o'clock, it could show 9 miles out of the east. Then you swipe over to the super forecast that shows it every hour, and it'll be like 47 out of the west. And then
mine is with you. I do have northeast from 15 to 20 at 9 a.m. on Saturday. How about you, Scott?
Apparently there was a glitch in the atmosphere because I just refreshed it again, and now it's right back to where it was before. It's showing northeast at 16 to 18 Saturday morning.
All right, see there?
I don't know what the heck was going on.
Shout out to the apps.
I swear to you, just a minute ago when I looked at it, it had changed completely, and it was showing 4 miles an hour. And no, I wasn't looking at the ranch in Guerra like Dean was.
Yeah, you and Dean.
When you're talking about fly fishing and drifting mid-bay reefs, I'm like, man, either people think I'm real stupid or this is going to change eventually. I was like, I don't think.
Yeah. There was some kind of glitch in the atmosphere there. That was weird. The satellites
of the story is refresh your apps every day. I look at them every day.
Weather balloon got shot down.
The what?
Weather balloon got shot down.
Could have. Could have. You never know.
I think somebody hacked into my apps.
Caleb, what do you got going on? I know you're going to be. We talked about the tournaments. Are you booking anybody? I know you've been doing videos. I'm guessing that has something to do with your new project. Catch us up before we get out of here.
Yeah, that's like Scott said, it's hard for me to book out. I get messages and I try to respond to every single one of them. I fall short. So if any of those people are listening or in here, I apologize. But I'm right there with Scott, man. I can't really book out anything extended because what's going to end up happening is I'm going to book you. We're going to have to reschedule. Then all of a sudden my tournament time is going to come up. You're going to be getting frustrated with me because you're going to call me and say, hey, I want to go, May 6th. And I'm going to tell you, sorry, I can't. I'm in Louisiana. So I'm not booking much of anything right now. I'm taking the days I can and recording videos, getting geared up for tournaments. I think Daniel told me today that I think the total payout in the Excalibur per tournament is like $90,000 or something. So we're pretty focused on making that happen. So no, I'm not opening the books a whole lot right now.
Scott?
Well, I'll go if it
Same
gets
thing.
right.
I know. Don't worry about the booking the trips because you've talked about that. But anything in your future, you were talking about DOA. I just want to make sure you guys get taken care of and share the word on projects and things you have going on.
Yeah, I'm just meeting up with Ed, and we're gonna chat a little bit Saturday morning. And on his way back to Florida, he's driving all the way back, so he can. He did one of our things. He planned this big trip down here to Texas, and totally forgot that it was Easter weekend. And all of a sudden,
does his
it
wife
hit him.
know?
Yeah, and now all of a sudden it's hit him, and so he's going to drive straight through from Saturday to Sunday to get back home down to South Florida, pulling the little DOA trailer. So if you see him on I-10 somewhere, just give him a little wave. He'll have the nice little red, black, and white DOA trailer tagging along behind him.
Yeah, I would like to point out while we're talking about people that if you're excited about the Grunden zipper waders, Anglers Anonymous has some of the first ones available to buy. They're in pretty limited supply, so scoot on over there and get your hands on them. If that,
well,
I have a pair here in my studio, and they're pretty awesome.
That zipper wader is a game changer, and we all know why. I mean,
so you can tuck your shirt in.
Yeah, no, that's it. Yeah, that's it for sure. All right. And don't forget RSL Roofing. I always want to mention them. Another friend of the podcast listeners, RSL Roofing and Ryan Works, our San Antonio listeners. Book that job for $5,000. Book a trip with Scott, Caleb, or Dean, and they will take care of the tip. All right. Fun show, man. Fast moving and a lot of fun. You guys be careful this weekend. I did tell my wife I'm going to go fishing one day between Friday and Monday. I know it's not going to be Sunday now because I'm the cook, but we will get out there and catch you up next weekend. So everybody have a great and safe Easter weekend. If you get out there, be careful. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. And as always, we will talk to you next time.
I forgot to say that Grunnens has women's waders, which is, I think it might be the first ones ever.
Oh, yeah?
Like women's cuts, yep.
Yeah, Sims has had that for a long time, man.
Yeah, the zipper waders are big time.
My sponsors.
My problem is I bought a brand new pair. I got a brand new pair as a gift, and they weren't zippers, so I can't justify getting another pair just yet. But oh well. All right, boys. That was fun. Good. And we'll talk to you guys, but I'm guessing it's not going to be a big fishing weekend for either of you.
No,
Easter, man. We're boiling crawfish in Huntsville.
Well, no.
Yeah, we're doing some crawfish on Friday. I'm not doing that. On Friday, I'm doing 2 chickens, 4 racks of ribs, about 4 pounds of fajitas, and some Chapel Hill sausage. We're gonna have like 25 people over to the house, so I will be very busy cooking and prepping.
What kind of barbecue sauce are you gonna use?
OG sauce, baby. I didn't mention it on the podcast. So
no, yeah, you did. We're still live.
Huh?
Yeah, you did.
We're still live. So go buy that. Oh man, this is a little inside information for our YouTube listeners. I did that they asked me to do that HEB Best in Texas. I told you guys about that.
Mm-hmm.
And so this, I think next week is when they're going to announce it. But I had Mattress Mac and Cal McNair participated in the video that I sent in. They both talked about how awesome the OG sauce was. I got to show you guys. You know what? Maybe I can show you guys the video right now. This would be pretty dang sweet if I did. Got a second? Let me go to my YouTube channel.
I think you're in with HEB then, man.
Yep. So
they asked me to enter.
You got big hitters on your side.
I do have big hitters on my side.
While you're looking for it, Cal McNair's grandkid is playing against Cade this weekend at the baseball park we were at. And we do what every baseball parent out there does, and we smuggled alcohol in, and we had one of our guys pretty wound up, and we had him millimeters away from walking over and telling Mr. Jones he's been a huge fan of the team forever, and would he please sign his hat?
Well, how do I share this? How do I share this video?
There's a screen share button somewhere around. Oh, present.
Yeah, where's the screen share button?
You hit the present down there about between setting and hit present.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Studio.
Okay. Let me get that video. This is exclusively for the YouTube listeners. I'm going to cut this out when we get to. Y'all are going to love this. I couldn't have been happier. They love the sauce, man. I mean, they love the sauce, and so they're like, yeah, sure. Let me see if I can find. Here we go. So then I go to screen share. You said present and share screen. Here we go. This.
You need to have Kyle Tucker to be your spokesman.
Y'all see that?
No, don't see
No.
it.
No, you need to talk to your IT guy, John.
Here we go.
Nope,
I'm on the edge of my seat.
got nothing.
You have to, if it might be sitting in the waiting room, you might have to click it in, allow it in. I think John has pushed his internet.
Dang
to
it.
the
All right.
Everything's froze up.
That's what I'm looking for.
John's face froze in a perfect position.
Oh,
there.
hey,
Here he goes.
I don't
think
know.
He's got it. Oh, we got the circle of death.
Yeah.
It's going. It's thinking.
This is the guys in charge of this operation.
Just watching the little circle.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
He
And John's
completely-
gone.
And I don't know how he's gone. How do we turn this off?
Hold on. Hold on.
Oh, there he is.
Here we go. Let's see this.
Almost.
Almost had it. Oh, I know what I need to.
Nope, he's gone again.
There you go. Oh,
Hey,
there he is.
And now he's frozen in even a better pose. We have frozen John.
You know, if I was running the Bite Me Empire, I'd have more than 1 megabyte of internet.
It's an awesome commercial.
Hey, just look at that look he's giving us.
I know.
It's oh man, this barbecue sauce commercial is going viral.
Oh, there's Mac.
There's Mac.
Oh,
there's McLean.
McLean. Can't hear him.
He's very
You can see
excited
him.
about it. He loves it. I put a little dab on my finger. I lick it.
And there's Cal.
Hey, you know what he's saying right now? I'd trade Andre Johnson for a bottle of barbecue sauce. This is good stuff.
I'd trade that second pick in the draft for a case of that stuff. And John's back.
Oh, man, this is invigorating.
OG sauce, the best in Texas. I can read the little thing down at the bottom.
I read his lips. What he said was, I was just about to say that.
Uh-oh. Who's she? Hit the skip ad, man. Hit the skip ad. We got nothing, man.
That was great. That was
we had
inspirational.
Nothing but frozen video.
Just like-
And every now and then somebody's mouth would move.
And he's gone again.
Jeez.
Are you having a
Oh, no,
seizure?
hold on.
There should be a warning goes out before this. Flashing light. Oh my goodness. Hey John, is it on your YouTube channel? Damn, I'll go find it.
Okay. I think you got to figure it out. Okay, if you're not busy, give me one more second. Give me one. I had it on mute. You couldn't hear anything?
Yeah.
No, I couldn't hear a thing. And it was buffering so bad. Everybody was freezing up.
Yeah.
That might be an
Here,
issue.
hold on, Lopez. Just let's just stand by. Okay. It's on your YouTube page.
Yeah, on my
I
YouTube
see it
channel.
right here.
I mean, I got better internet out here in the country than you got going on there.
All right, let's see. Let me see. Let me take a shot at it here.
I had it on mute. I finally got it going, but I had it on mute by accident. It's damn good. You'll like it.
This
It's
is
worth the wait.
riveting.
It's worth
I
the
hope
wait.
Yeah.
This is
hope
what
so.
I sent to HEB. This video. It's a 2-minute video.
Good. I hope they could listen to it.
They can.
Well, they can't listen to it. They can't see it.
Yeah. You getting it?
Well, if I do it, it's
Here, I'll do it. I figured it out. I just got to unmute
Oh, wait,
it.
here we go. No, go click down there on the bottom and let me in.
Oh, okay. There it is. Okay. Hello, HEB Best in Texas. My name is John Lopez, and I am holding in my hand right here the good stuff. It's a barbecue sauce. It's a dipping sauce. It's a glaze. But more than that, it's a story. It's my story. It's a story about Texas. It's a story that HEB knows very, very well. It's a story that speaks from the soul and with passion. And I'm telling you right now, this sauce has only been on the market for about a year and a half, but it has built an incredible cult following, as you'll see right here. OG Sauce currently is in 9 stores in the greater Houston area, but as you've seen, we get orders from New York to Los Angeles and everywhere in between. I've been making it for about 20 years, and people always told me, you got to sell this stuff. Finally, I took the leap. It's built an incredible cult following.
Heartfelt pitch for OG Sauce. I put it on barbecue ribs. I put it on chicken, and it tastes great. It is out of this world. And it's not quite free, but it's great. So check it out. OG Sauce, the best barbecue sauce on the planet.
I've been eating OG sauce since the first time John Lopez gave me a bottle. I just don't eat it on barbecue. I eat it on steaks. I dip vegetables in it. Sometimes I dip my finger in it, and it's good.
This is Cal McNair from the Houston Texans. Nothing's better on barbecue than John Lopez's OG sauce. But the real question is, who is a real
Even
OG?
dressed like me. So HEB Best in Texas. You want to get you some of that OG sauce? Thank you for considering OG sauce. And thank you. Oh, my Lord. He even put on the headphones and the cigar and all that. I got to at least make the semifinals on that video. I got it. Plus, yeah. Plus all the somewhat notoriety and publicity that they'll get and all that stuff.
But see, there was a missed opportunity, John. If you could have got Cal to say that OG Sauce is better than a second round draft pick, you're in.
That would have been it. Those guys were awesome. I said, man, I'm doing this 2-minute video, told them the whole story, because you got to write a whole story and do business plans and all this other crap. And they're like, yeah. And I got them like that. And Cal was so into it. He texted me and he goes, I didn't like the first take. I'm going to do another one. I was like, sure, Cal, whatever you want to do. Whatever you want to do. But it was awesome. So I'll keep you guys up to date. But anyway. All right. Let me end the live feed and all those guys got a sneak peek.